morning, everybody. Welcome to IT Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Joe Cook. That's Justin Wells. That's Ian Boyd. We got Florida in just a couple of days. We got a lot of great things to talk about. We got a light SEC slate, but still a good SEC slate. And we got an injury report, or availability report, as the league would like us to call it. And okay, I'll go ahead and say that because they don't tell us what injuries are on it. But first, make sure you do like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and head to the first link in the description for this video, this podcast. That is how to join InsideTexas.com. Sign up now. It's just $1. Get the best Texas Longhorns intel, the best Texas Longhorns community. Become a part of it, and you'll get a full year of access to The Athletic as well, just for $1. So go check that out. It's the first link in our description. And also, if you look on the screen right now, we got a fancy QR code that you can scan. Leave it up for a few minutes. So, morning, Michael Hargis, thank you for joining. Chris Bennett, thank you. Sugar Daddy, big update. Hack Mateer's browser history. His thumb is 100% healed and ready to go. I don't know if I believe you or the Chipotle tortilla presser. I'm not sure who to believe in this world anymore.
We have a few orthopedic specialist type people on our board. And one of them was telling me that the initial diagnosis of a Bennett's fracture, he was like, that thing, he's not coming back from that anytime soon. But then as more information has trickled out and we've seen him sort of out in the wild, he's like, I don't think that was a Bennett's fracture. If it was this other thing, this name I forgot, then they could absolutely secure that with a couple screws and he'd be totally stable. And we should probably expect to see him against Texas.
I think the clip that went viral yesterday of him throwing was a repurposed spring football clip. So I don't think he's throwing.
Was it Tattoo Baker posted that?
Yeah.
That dude is the ultimate troll.
Yeah.
Salute to Tattoo Baker.
Yeah. They're good at it.
That was from like fall camp. That was not.
Hey, that media, that group, that circle, they know how to have fun. They've had a lot of fun with this.
Well, they've had to lean into it in the last couple of years.
Well, which is fine
because they're garbage.
Understandably, but that's almost part of what the allure of it is.
Let's talk.
I got to follow up that doctor running out of the tunnel before Texas OU. He's in front of Mateer running out of the tunnel. That's my game day tweet right there, just because that doctor he's big time.
Let's talk a little bit about the injury report. Let's talk Longhorns, and hopefully this comes through on the screen. If not, let me zoom in a little bit more. We got the first SEC student athlete availability report, basically because sports gambling is so involved in college sports these days. They don't want anything that could mess up the golden goose. And you get doubtful, questionable, probable, or out. Nobody's out for Texas. You get it Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and then 90 minutes before kickoff. So we'll start with Texas. A lot of this coincides with what Inside Texas wrote earlier this week. Eric Naline, or even earlier last month, I guess. And it's only guys on the travel roster, so that's why you're not seeing someone like Andre Kojo on here. I think for a home game, he'd be listed as out for every single one, similar to Baxter last year after his season-ending injury. But we have doubtful CJ Baxter, questionable Emmett Mosley, Quintravian Wisner, Kobe Black, probable Malik Muhammad, Xavier Filsaime, and Justin. It kind of feels like if you're on the left, probably won't see you. That's why he's doubtful. If you're on the right, probably will see you on Saturday in the Swamp.
That's a good way to put it. We reported Mosley was back at practice late last week. To me, that's substantial. He's had a solid month a little over a month to get back in game shape. Wisner's another one that I think they were being more cautious than anything. I think if they would have opened the SEC slate earlier, he would have played earlier. Same for Kobe Black. And then Muhammad was a new name on the probable. I hadn't heard anything about him being dinged up. And Filsaime, I think, has been back and forth the last few weeks, dressing out, not dressing out. But I wanted to ask you a question, Joe. Last year, they identified the injuries Do you remember? They would have something like remember Velton Gardner. And then they would have something like C.J. Baxter, foot.
Yep.
Or knee or something like that. Don't tell me they didn't put body parts. Last year, they had body parts on this thing. I'm just surprised. I'm wondering why it changed.
Yeah, you're muted, Joe.
RT and I were talking about Quinn's, or maybe somebody's on the board, or somebody else was on the board. No, it doesn't have body parts from last year's one.
Thank you.
Because it's not NFL style. It's just,
I got that. I could have sworn a stat.
They did last year for sure, I thought.
I did too, Ian. And then you're like, no, I told you they didn't. Ian's over here backing me up and then cutting me down.
I'm looking at ones from last year, and there are no body parts on there. And I think,
this is only the second year. You're right.
And I mean, with the NFL, the way it works is it's because of practice participation. I think with this one, there are a lot of bylaws and stuff like that, but it's all right. Here are your options. Please choose one. So
right, there's no regulations here at all. Lane Kiffin laughs at this thing. This thing is like his AP poll or coach's poll that comes in that he has to vote on. He puts more effort into that than he does this availability report. I can't believe I could have swore they had body parts on that thing last year.
Ian, as far as, Baxter kind of is what it is. Wisner, obviously a big part of the offense if he's able to go. Kobe Black, part of the defensive rotation with Jalen Gilbo. But as you'll probably explain a little bit later in this video, Emmett Mosley could add a little bit of a different dynamic to Texas offense if he's able to be out there on the field.
Yeah, that's the big one. He was a very skilled receiver at Stanford last season. Gives you depth in the slot, where if Moore is out, you don't necessarily have to play with two tight ends. He might also just be like one of their best players. It's not like we've seen a lot from Texas's skill talent where it's that crowded of a room to force your way into if you've got some talent and some ability. They've had a lot of guys that have not really seized the bull by the horns, so to speak. Giving Manning more options, plus being able, maybe not this week, but next week against Oklahoma, being able to force Oklahoma out of their 4-3 and attack their secondary, which is the definite weak spot, would be invaluable. And you want every bullet in the chamber for that. What happened to Wisner again? Why is Wisner missing all these games?
Leg. That's as far as we've gotten.
What happened to the leg?
That's all we need, Ian.
It has kept them out.
This is a little bit of a thing because, like, the one thing about Wisner that's like the big plus is that he's reliable in anything you ask him to do. He's not explosive in anything you want him to do. He's not super talented at most of the things you want him to do. Pretty good receiver. But he's reliable and he's there. And if he's not that, like the legend of Wisner is diminished, I would say, especially depending on the circumstances of this injury. Am I wrong?
No, that makes sense to me. But it also, from everything we've gathered, if this game was last week, he could have played. This may be part, he's going through something minor, but also part Texas wants to have this guy available for the big
nagging
game.
Sort of thing.
That remains to be seen.
I don't know if we have enough information on it to answer that question.
Yeah.
Malik Muhammad, he only played 3. It was a very light snap count game for everybody against Sam Houston. He only played 3 snaps, but just kind of curious what that looks like because he has been a shutdown corner over the past few weeks in this entire season, Justin.
No, he has, and we saw a lot of snaps, a light snap count, like you said. I think Ethan Burke was in for 2 series, maybe. Sark's saving his bullets. He understands the bigger picture. Get through that first month. They played a lot of young guys. How many guys they play in that Sam game? Like 70, 75 different players? Like, get through that first month. Get ready for SEC play. Utilize that bye week to get kind of everybody refocused, everybody kind of, eyes on the prize. And, yeah, Muhammad, if it's probable, that's definitely not a worry. But Philsami's the guy that I've been a little bit surprised with because he's been on it and off it and on it and off it. Not so much the report, but our injury updates. And so I think Malik's locked in. I think he's good. He's one of the best. He's had one of the best grades in the corner group for the season so far this year. He's tried and true. I don't really worry too much about Malik. They may go at him a little bit. He's going to get his. Sometimes he'll get burned. Sometimes he doesn't. But yeah, I didn't realize how light his snap load was last week or 2 weeks ago. But they were letting those guys kind of get rested up and get ready. But if they were to play Florida last week, I think those guys would have been on the field.
Looking at Florida, Train Webb, I think that's a preseason one. Jacoby Jackson was the new one. And Dijon Johnson, he was one of their starting corners, but they've had some good corner play. Jaden Ball's still there. That's what's important. But they are also down 2 running backs and a starting corner, and McCray is a good player. But no Lagway. Dallas Wilson's not on there. It sounds like they expect him to play, make his debut. That's a high-quality freshman wide receiver who drew a lot of buzz during preseason camp. And then, there's nobody. It's a very light injury report. So good one for the Gators. Go over just a couple questions before we get to Ian's article. The weather for the upcoming game, does the game plan change for Sark? Maybe more of the run game? A lot of questions about the rain.
No.
You gotta play the game. You don't pass it 50 times in a tropical storm like Brian Kelly, but you got to pass the ball in the rain or else it is a 6-3 game. Right, Ian?
Yeah, I find that in the wet conditions and the cold conditions, usually the advantage goes not to the ground and pound team because it's hard for running backs to like make cuts and get traction when the field is bad and when the ball is wet. You got all the handoffs get dicey. I think that the thing that's most reliable in inclement weather is the quarterback that can still force the ball down the field and grip it securely. And to just throw it to a big, reliable receiver with strong hands. So I think that would favor Texas in this game. We haven't seen a lot of inclement weather Arch. Saw a little bit of it against San Jose State. And other than that one throw that may or may not have slipped, where everybody was convinced that he was succumbing to cancer in the throw. Other than that one, he looked fine. He's a big guy. Lagway, also a big Y, but unfortunately for Florida, not good. So I think inclement weather actually benefits Texas. I think. I will.
No, you and I.
Justin Wales asks Justin Wells, I'm a bit late tuning in. Have you all noticed that Jordan Davison out of Modern Day is killing it in short yardage at Oregon? Maybe we made a mistake backing off of him.
I don't know if it was a backing off. It was a mutual parting. Look, Tashard Choice had a long-term relationship with Jordan Davison. I think I had an RPM for this guy to Texas at one point. Like, this recruitment was done. But things happen. Things transpire. I want to say Davison got maybe a little heavier going into his senior year. It obviously didn't affect his play in college or at Modern Day. But I think it was more of a mutual parting sort of, and others just popped up and on his radar, on Tashard Choice's radar. So yeah, like he looks good. He looks dang good, to be honest with you. I've noticed him a little bit. Their running back room is kind of wild right now. They've got guys ready get out of there, and they've got other guys playing incredibly well. So, but yeah, I think it was more of a mutual parting. I don't think it was just Texas going, yeah, we don't really want you. There was a time where that's all those two wanted was the other.
I would like to extend an invitation to Mr. Justin Wales to join that was the guy that posted the comment.
I know. I'm trying to see if I'm about to get shortchanged.
No, I would like to welcome him to the Tashard Choice Hurt Texas with bad recruiting evals bandwagon.
Oh my God.
There's a clear road ahead of us because he's gone, and so no one gets particularly angry if you blame him. And I've got Connor riding shotgun. We got Paul in the back with a big chest of treasure. And we are willing to share with anyone that wants to hop aboard and also say, this guy did not do Texas any favors in the running back room. Because they got a big, expensive running back room right now, and not a single guy that you're like, hey, just give that guy the ball 25 times and we'll beat Florida for sure.
You're right.
Not even close to that.
You're right about that.
Does this look like the Kyle Porter bandwagon?
It's rearing its head.
We repurposed the Kyle Porter bandwagon, fresh coat of paint, got all the stink out, because you know that because Paul's in the back. So you know that the stink is gone. It's been fumigated, and it has got plenty of seats left.
I don't know. He wears that Axe body spray. So I don't know.
I think
can't vouch for Paul's odors.
I think before we get to the Gators, let's hear a little bit from Academy.
Touchdown! Any gate can be a tailgate.
All right, Ian, this morning you wrote about what Texas needs to do in order to sharpen their play before SEC play, before the Red River Shootout against Florida in the Swamp. And this, to me, I think a lot of people may look at what you're writing and think like, okay, overlook Florida. And that's not what you're suggesting. But I think explain what you're trying to say with how much you've been talking about Oklahoma in the lead up to a game against Florida.
You got to beat Oklahoma. You could lose to Florida. You cannot lose to Oklahoma. Okay. Don't really want to lose either game. You got some other tough games ahead. So you want to play the Florida game to win. You don't want to play the Florida game to beat Oklahoma. You do want to play it in a way that sets you up to win against Florida. But given the shape of Florida right now, if you can try to use this game at all as a sort of jab to set up your right hook in the Red River Shootout, then you want to do that. And if there's anything, I think in particular, you almost want to do this even if you weren't playing Oklahoma. I want to see the offense establish a little more of an identity in this game.
Yes.
So that the players have something that they are confident in and can hang their hat on against Oklahoma. If you can hold back a little bit for Oklahoma, that's good too. But if you can at least show the beginnings of your true identity in this game, just to build comfort and also to like set the hook on anything special you've got that is built off the same like packages and plays for Oklahoma, you want to do that. Is that pretty convoluted or is that?
No, I think it can be said in the fact that we can think of it this way, but the team can't.
The team will think of it this
way. This is our purview, not theirs.
The team is already going to think of it this way. I think you can't really help it. Like they all know.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
They all know that who's next on the schedule.
They view things differently than we do, Ian. Please understand that. No, they don't overanalyze it like we do.
I'm sure about that, but I think the confidence deal.
I 100% agree with that, but I'm telling you that this particular group, they're not looking past Florida. Like Sark has, I think, in a sense, terrified them with Florida. Like they understand, they're on all their toes right now with this group. It's human nature to think ahead, especially with OU, the rivalry, the big game each year, like you have postured for years. But I think there's something in this culture where these guys aren't going to look ahead because they understand. Like you said, they could lose to Florida, beat Oklahoma. They've still lost to Florida. Like that still knocks them probably in the 20s in the rankings. That still does a lot of negative damage. So Texas isn't going to go that far.
Sure.
So,
are you saying
in theory?
Are you saying Sark is like really battling for them to be super dialed in this week? You're saying kind of like when Mac wore a cheese trap around his neck before Texas played A&M in 2005, like that kind of thing.
I'm basing it off of listening to Sark's Monday press conference.
Okay.
I think to put it all in the middle, like you can get things ready for Oklahoma by preparing to beat Florida. And that's not looking past Florida. That's not diminishing Florida, but it's doing a little bit of one thing at one time to, help you later in the week. But looking at what the offense can do, you talk a little bit about holding back. And I think that's something that gets overblown. It does happen. It's a long season. You don't want to play all your cards early. That's probably why we saw Texas use just 11 and just 12 personnel against Ohio State. But at the same time, there are parts of the offense that we haven't seen Sark overuse. And maybe that's something, as you cite here, looking at the 45-35 game, that Texas can look back on and maybe repeat a little bit heading into this week.
Honestly, if you go through the winners of this game for the last few years, I can point to you something that the winning team held back for this game. So like Dylan Gabriel in the draw game and the run game in 2023 was not something Oklahoma had shown a lot. And immediately after the game, Sark was like, that's why we lost. Their quarterback run game just really was the difference in this game. Texas has used Ezekiel's wheel. We'll get into that maybe a couple times to eviscerate Oklahoma in this game. Oklahoma tried the Wildcat. Kind of had to in 2022.
What about in 08 when they moved Shipley into
08.
spot?
Yeah, let's explain where the wrinkle from 08 was.
The wrinkle in 08 was that they lost Blaine Irby to his knee exploded.
And Jermichael Finley went a little too early to the league. They weren't expecting him to leave.
Yeah, earlier than they wanted. He did okay.
Yeah, no.
So they had no tight end. They have like Greg Smith, I think, the extended blocking surface. Greg Smith is their only tight end in this like base 11 personnel spread offense. They go a couple drives against Oklahoma. They're losing like 14-3. And then they put Jordan Shipley in the tight end spot flexed out and play with 4 wide receivers. And they explode Oklahoma's middle linebacker's knee within a drive, trying to cover Shipley, and then just shred Oklahoma with that for the rest of the game. And that's their identity for the rest of the year. Close, inches away from going to the national championship.
So what's the version of putting Shipley in the slot for 2025 Texas?
Give it away, Ian, so that Oklahoma can be ready and prepped because they're watching.
I think it's just leaning into the spread stuff with Jack injuries moving all over the place and Arch Manning running the ball 15 times. And you do those two things, and that's going to be – I don't know that it's going to catch Oklahoma by surprise because Texas has already shown that capacity a little bit. But I think that's the move. Maybe you got one more wrinkle off that we're not expecting that's really nasty and some RPO or something.
Or Ryan Wingo with a series at running back.
Sure. Is that
just
your idea?
Hey, somebody could be watching, Ian.
But you're kind of talking about how this isn't going to be a line them up and run them over type game plan for Texas because OU, and I'm trying not to mention OU because we got Florida to talk about, but like this is an opportunity for Texas to use some strategies they know will work. Here we go. I got it. They know will work against some of the best defenses on their schedule. They haven't shown a lot of, and it's not just plain, we're going to beat you by beating you. There's enough there to maybe offer some confusion they haven't shown quite yet. Does that kind of sound like the direction you're going?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like you do want to beat Florida. I don't want to
Guys,
I don't
you
want to
better
say
beat
otherwise.
Florida. I'm telling you, you don't want an unbearable week next week. I'm trying to save you guys. You better beat Florida. Oh, man.
So when you're doing the spread stuff, you've got Jack Endries as your kind of lone tight end. You can put out Mosley, Moore, and Wingo, or a combination thereof. That's a good top four, and we've seen Texas go 4 deep. But maybe what will we see, and what do you get at that maybe they haven't shown from these spread looks that they could start dialing in this week?
Well, I mean, just more of it. I mean, they've shown a decent amount of stuff from the spread. What they haven't really done is do it in volume. Like they've shown the ability to move Jack Endries around and run different run schemes and like send him out in motion on a wheel route and all kinds of stuff. They've done a lot of that, but it's just not been the main thing. Like, what if that were the main thing? What if Jack Endries was in the game 80% of the snaps? What if Endries got 10 to 15 targets? What if, and they didn't rotate through all these other young tight ends? What if Arch Manning ran the ball 10 or 15 times? What if they made quarterback option runs a much bigger part of the offense? And then for Oklahoma and for Florida, I guess, if they could get the stretch run game from the shotgun going that they've used on an RPO to torch Oklahoma like 3 years in a row, that would be really great.
Charlie brings us up, and Justin, this is a point I think I made last week. It's like get the ball out quick too, because it might be Olay up front. Like these types of plans help what has been a good pass protecting unit, but a very mediocre run blocking unit, maybe make up for those differences. And then, like I said, I think last week, passing isn't just passing. You got screens, you got intermediate, you got the deep balls. Like they may have to do a little air raiding and pick up 3, 4, and 5 in a variety of ways.
Yeah, this O-line, I mean, this D-line has got progressively better at Oklahoma. I don't want to say Texas has got progressively worse compared to last year, but there's definitely some hiccups there. Again, we're talking about Oklahoma too soon. But I like where Ian goes with this, that the winner of this team usually has something saved, has something that they're stored up. Look, the O-line, I still don't think I still think it's a sample size. Like we know they're good at pass blocking. We know they have a hard time with run blocking, but the competition has been off and on. I don't think we've seen what we want to see yet. I think the front for Florida will be a good indicator. I think the front for Oklahoma is going to be a great indicator. Like I think we're going to have a better sense of that. I'll say this. I thought Jarrett Gibson ran as well 2 weeks ago as he's ran at Texas. This is a homecoming for him. He grew up wanting to play in Gainesville, play in the swamp. And so I think this is a guy, especially with Baxter doubtful, probably not going to see him. Gibson's a kid that if we see more of what we had seen earlier in his career, he is a true north type cat. I think that's a different wrinkle. Not so much wrinkle, but I think Florida sets up good for him. I think this game is an easier game for him to he's motivated a little bit more. But the O-line, it's got to be a combo. The run game has to complement the O-line and vice versa. And what usually happens with that group up front, they look for the one guy that's weak. They look for the weak link along that front. And so we won't know that for sure until we see Oklahoma and Venable peel their ears back. but it's going to be something to pay attention to. Oklahoma's defense has got progressively better under Venables.
So, Ian, one of the things you highlight as maybe a solution is the good old Ezekiel's wheel play. I think I got that lined up right here. This is 11 personnel. That's Xavier Worthy at the top of your screen. That's Jordan Whittington in the middle. That's A.D. Mitchell right there. Jonathan Brooks in the backfield looks like Gunnar Helm right there. And this is a very tough play for defenses to kind of get to because it not only sends the run game towards the bottom of the screen, towards the wide side of the field, but it sends a passing concept, 3 different passing concepts to the short side of the field where there often are not numbers. So what you'll see here when I press play is you'll see Worthy, or excuse me, that's Jonte. You're right.
I was about to say,
Jonte Cook, as the caption says on the screen, running a glance, which if you're drawing it, it kind of looks like a skinny
post. Shallow post. Yeah, skinny post.
It's a skinny post. And the break on the route's a little shorter than a big post. You have – say again?
Deep slant.
There we go. You have Jordan Whittington running his own wheel, right?
Yep.
And then you have Gunnar Helm right here also running a wheel. So you're attacking the deep secondary with the furthest outside player. You're attacking the middle of the field, but the edge of the field with this slot player. You're attacking the flat with this player. And then, by the way, if the numbers look good, then you can run the ball to the wide side of the field. So I'll play it through. And this is like many of Sark's plays, it's a top down. You read the RPO, and then it's a tough play. You have to read, is it a pre-snap numbers count thing?
It actually reads the end first, like a zone read.
Okay.
And if the end bails out to cover or stays wide, you just hand off.
Okay.
But if he doesn't get himself in position to protect against the passes, then now you start reading the pass progression.
Okay. And the pass progression for many of Sark's offenses or offensive plays is deep to short.
Yep.
And so just watch Jonte at the top of the screen here because this is a pass play. So he plays the run, and then boom, nice little play. And let me see if I can get it paused at the right time. So as you mentioned, Ian, that defensive end starts to come down, doesn't play the pass. These 2 linebackers are kind of doing the right thing, standing flat-footed. That's fine. It makes it so they're there. But what you see is this safety playing the flat comes down to cover Jordan Whittington.
Mm-hmm.
And if these linebackers even take a step forward, there's a very large gap where Quinn Ewers hits Jonte Cook. And this is something, how often have they really used this play this year?
I'm not sure if they have.
I was about to say, I can't recall them even running this.
I think they've run.
Think says a lot.
They've run the adjustment off of it once, at least. I think that I have queued up later in the article.
I'm trying to get that right now if it'll work. So this next example, it's from early in last year's. Guess who it's against? Last year's OU game. And this is a new version of the play. You call it Ezekiel's Wheel 2.0. And it's from a very, very similar look. So tell us what we're looking at here.
This one, I think, is the same as the last one. Where the same thing on top, you have glance, wheel, and then that tight end is going to come across into the flat, and then you have a run to the left. And it's like a stretch play in the run game. And I can't remember. I think Oklahoma played the pass, so Texas just ran the ball. And all of the big runs last year came when Texas realized that Oklahoma was just going to get guys in coverage to stop the RPO. And so they started running a version where the tight end, instead of running a flat route, he would actually block. And they just ran split zone on Oklahoma like that. And like a bunch of big runs.
Didn't Wisner just run it down their throat at some point?
He had 2 big gash runs.
He had like 140 yards on 9 carries, and almost all of them were on this play, including the one where he like fumbled into the end zone and Silas Bolden fell on it, which may be the second one in this example. He had like 2 gash runs, like you said. Yeah, it was Oklahoma in 3 years has not figured out how to defend this play.
So let's take a look at it here. You see Moore going to the top. Who runs the deep version? Is that whoever's at the top of the screen? I'm guessing Golden.
Yeah. Maybe Bond. I don't know.
So why is this a give?
Because the edge overhang covers. There's no edge, really. It's a 3 down.
It's that guy, technically.
Yeah. He's not even on the edge anymore. He's just playing back.
And so it's like, okay, count numbers, give ball.
Yep.
And the thing that plays off of it, if I can get to the next one, because as you had mentioned, Oklahoma hadn't really figured it out yet, was one of those long runs, if I can get this to work.
Well, after getting torched in the air by this play for 2 years in a row, they were just like, we're going to just cover this. We're going to make them run it, see how they do running it. And they did great running it. They were like, great. We'd love to run the ball.
Yeah, that's just good old-fashioned zone blocking right there.
Look how easy Gunnar Helm's trap block is on the backside. Because they're so coverage oriented that it's like he doesn't have to do anything, he just gets in the way.
And so this is an element that's not like foreign to Sark's offense at all. It's just not been used a whole lot this year. And, you know, Justin, we talked about, hold back. Like holding back something that you haven't used in games that's brand new, that's tough. But holding stuff this is a key part of Texas offense, just hasn't been used as much, and we haven't seen Oklahoma stop it, and maybe that's why they use it at Florida to really get things going.
That would be ideal because, you know, you've got practice reps, but they're not the same as game reps. It really isn't. And with this new offensive line, I would have liked to seen a little bit more before, but I'm not going to question Sark in this regard. If he'll bring some of that out maybe against Florida, just to remind Oklahoma of what their weaknesses are. Of like, hey, you know what, we can still do this, but they need to run it. You can't just wait till week 6 and be really good at it. Oh yeah, well they ran it the last few years. This is a new bunch. This is in some ways a new offense, new parts. Yeah, I think Florida would be the best indicator to see a little bit of that because, again, game reps are so much different than practice reps.
Here's the other thing on this play is that Florida loves to play their safeties back, and they're both like 210 pounds. And getting them to chase wheel routes by DeAndre Moore or Jack Injuries or Ryan Niblett, that's a good way to attack Florida anyway. Because their outside corner is going to run with that first route. And I don't know if Florida's guys are fast enough to turn and run with Texas's guys on wheel routes. So you have every reason to run this play against Florida just to beat Florida. But it so happens that not only is that a good ploy against Florida, but it's this play, I may rename it the Sooner Killer. Especially if they torch Oklahoma with it a 4th year in a row, we're going to call this play the Sooner Killer because they've had no answers for it. It's funny.
This from Ryan Nelson, holding back's a nice excuse for poor offensive play. I don't think that's not what I'm trying to say. Like they've had poor offensive play for what they've run.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why aren't you using this? Well, it's a hard balance.
But it is part of it. Like they've played like 5 tight ends at the position that Sark calls one of the most important and most complicated positions on offense. If you played 5 tight ends and like 3 freshmen at a position like that, and then you're sloppy on offense, that's not like some great shock.
It makes me feel like Texas should have someone a little bit higher up than Sam the week before you go into SEC play.
Why? That was they were able to.
It was, and how much of this did they use? How much of it did they rep? They played freshmen. They played freshmen up and down the field. I get it. I get that. Maybe week 2. I mean, I don't like the idea of holding stuff back only, too much, especially when the offense has been sputtering for 3 full weeks before Sam even walked through the gate.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things happened, but this Sam game I think was
This Sam game was good for Arch.
Yeah, this was as last minute of an add to the schedule as you could have gotten.
Understandably, in Arch, that's where you started. And I don't care that it was against Sam. I saw Arch hitting open guys that were open against Ohio State, UTEP, and San Jose State. That was a great indicator for me. I just don't – I think saving stuff – I think Ryan, we're not making that, impression that's an excuse for offensive poor play. But if you don't rep it enough, man – you got to work on this stuff. You got to do it in game as much as you do it in practice. It's not the same. We need to see some of this so that I know he doesn't want to put it on tape for Oklahoma this year, but hasn't it been on tape the last 2 or 3 years? If they haven't figured it out then, get into Gainesville, use it effectively to get the W. Then you worry about Oklahoma after you get that win in Gainesville and you're on that plane back to Austin.
One quick aside, Ian, are you on board with me now that Sam's the worst team Texas is going to play this year? Sam Houston?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I concede. I'm glad we didn't make any official mistakes.
It's not Kentucky?
I never said Kentucky.
Ian?
The combined win total for both those teams may be 2.5. So we'll get to the Texas defense versus Florida a little bit quicker. Before we do, a word from Andre the lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
So, Ian, as far as the defense goes, a lot of focus has gone on Jaden Ball. We'll get to DJ Lagway in a minute. But a lot of this looks like Texas will be looking in a mirror a little bit with how the Gators offense plays and how Texas defense can stop them.
Maybe a mirror of the UTEP game. I think in general, Texas a little more. It's not been as bad as it's been for Florida.
It's similar.
Florida has Texas would take their tight ends and their running back and most of their offensive linemen, honestly.
They would take the left tackle right now. He would be the right tackle right now.
They would take a bunch of them. Baugh, maybe that might actually be my first pick would be Baugh. That guy's tremendous.
That seems to be the conventional pick at Inside Texas in the members forum. Big Jaden Ball fans on our side.
Maybe they can take him if they can just beat this team and get their coach fired. Maybe Ball will become available in the transfer portal.
I've got one for you. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but a Jared Ball for Jarrett Gibson trade in the offseason.
Let's see if Gibson can hold on to the ball in the swamp.
Well, if he can't, then that's even more way to trade him.
Absolutely. Although they probably don't want him.
Well, they do. They do. Be careful, Ian. They do.
Yeah, Florida's been a mess. They don't have receivers. Their receivers are much worse than Texas's receivers, barring Dallas Wilson being Ryan Williams in his debut, in which case we could be in trouble. They're not very good.
That, though.
What's that?
It said the odds of that, though, don't seem particularly high.
I just know Texas really liked Dallas Wilson. They really liked him.
But as far as it seems as straightforward as it can be when it comes to stopping the Florida run game, just because at this juncture, unless they want to put the future on the line right now, they're not really going to run DJ Lagway all that much.
Weren't they the most effective team running the ball against Texas last year?
I think there are a lot of factors behind that, including the fact that they had a complete zero at quarterback.
True.
I just don't think that this is
and I think it was a lot of second half yardage too.
Yeah. This kind of just feels like our big guys versus your big guys moment for the run game and the run defense. And I think it's one that you feel fine with Texas and how they stand. But Ian, when you look at what DJ Lagway has, I was about to say what he's done, but what he's not done, like, this doesn't seem like it's going to be a good time for him going against PK and company.
That's a terrible, terrible matchup. Texas is going to disguise their coverages like they do almost every week. They gave Sam Houston State a pretty easy time of it. But they disguise coverages. They mix man and zone. They mix man and zone on the same play on either side of the formation. And Lagway with an eternal timer that's going to be set by Colin Simmons and Trey Moore and Ethan Burke, trying to decipher all this and figure out where Michael Taff is going and what Texas is going. I think this is a recipe for potentially a quick win for Texas. Like, if this is a slog of a game that Texas has to play hard for 4 quarters to secure the win, I don't think that should surprise anybody. Florida may come out and play really hard, but Lagway versus Taff in the secondary is a bad matchup. And I think there's a chance that they could just get some quick picks and just put Florida in a big hole early that the Gators just don't even want to climb out of. They just don't even care anymore.
That's one of the things I talked with the Gators on 3 site. And, and I think I mentioned it maybe to some other place I was talking the other day. It's just kind of like, that we may overstate that whole, like, the offense is getting mad at the defense or the defense is getting mad at the offense. And we usually do. But when you're 3-1, you're winning. You can get away with it. But when you're 1-3, I feel like, Justin, that's a real thing.
Yeah. It's a completely different mindset. Not to mention the coach is playing for his job at this point. I think Napier's been standing at the podium and taking them like a champion, to be honest with you, because they know it's one of the – I mentioned this on Trey Elling's ESPN interview yesterday, radio. Like, you don't – with this group, you just – with Bill, you don't know if this is going to be the last game for Napier. Like, at some point, which one of these losses is the loss? And so it's almost like I feel like Billy will maybe play a little bit more open, a little bit more loose, knowing the writing's on the wall in a sense. And so, yeah, you can get away with it at 3-1, 1-3. They're going to pick you apart. They're going to find flaws. And with Lagway, it's just been inconsistent. And I'm huge, me, huge DJ fan. He's just been really inconsistent. It's not just him; it's the entire offense in a whole. But it's just tough. Right now, it's tough for Billy because you don't know which loss it's going to be. That's going to be the end. It's
going to be the 4th one. I mean, if you go,
that's Saturday.
If you're 1-4, and you can't really march into your guy's office and be like, "Don't worry, I'm going 7-0 the rest of the way." That's not happening.
And to counter that, to add to that, they have a ton of recruits coming in this weekend. A lot of Florida commits coming in this weekend. You might be right, Joe. If this is loss 4, that could be it. I think that is lingering throughout that whole locker room.
And also, it's one of those things where, not to dive too deep into it, there's a lot going on at the University of Florida. And it seems like the AD is on a little bit of an empowered island right now. Maybe there's some booster stuff that goes on. But at the same time, like, a fourth loss is a fourth loss is a fourth loss, especially this year when they were going all in.
Also, the fourth loss probably ensures you don't make a bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that means, exactly. So, Ian, you talked a lot about stopping the run and also just how Texas is probably going to use their typical pattern matching coverage. But that does mean there will be a couple opportunities for, Florida in the passing game. And you highlighted Grayson Littleton's got to stack up against whoever he's matched up against. As he got a little burnt on this play. He hadn't been perfect all year, but he's been, you rather learn against San Jose State than against Florida and SEC play.
Yeah, there's always a chance the other team could hit a shot one-on-one. Florida is like 0 for 100 this year on hitting anything. So it's not too worried about it.
Oh, man.
Famous last words, but
shot plays are shot plays. If you can get the chunk, you get the chunk. But, if the players hold up on their end of the bargain, everything should be fine. Anything else you really want to go over? Except I'm with you on your main overall point that it doesn't matter what it looks like. But the most important stat is 1 in the victory column for this game.
Yep. Especially if Florida, if they do hit a couple shots, if they do play on fire for Billy Napier.
Yeah.
They does play clean. Like, it's a dangerous game. Nobody's really been blowing away Florida this year. They've been a lot better than their record suggests. But Texas should definitely win. So as long as they do that.
Go through
better, because we've been talking about Oklahoma a lot today. And
I'm just warming up.
Joe, Ian, Justin, do you see Lane Kiffin comment on the end of dynasties? He also said bad teams don't stay bad for very long anymore. I didn't see the full quote, but I mean, the portal era, I agree with the
sounds like something Lane would say.
It sounds like Lane has got one team in mind in particular that he knows his fans care about, which is the one across the state.
There's a lot.
Oh, you mean the second part of the statement for this one?
Yeah. Mississippi State is good, whereas last year they were not. Jeff Lebby's got that turned around. Then Kiffin is trying to caution against, they got that Egg Bowl. That'll be a big deal. Bad teams.
I think this is undertones of Lane worrying about Starkville in 2.5 months.
Yes. Lots of bad teams stay bad because a lot of them are bad for a reason. It's just that they are incompetently managed.
Yes.
Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly like the Dallas Cowboys.
Or the Houston Texans.
But much worse.
Here's the thing. Bad teams.
Texans don't look any better either.
Bad teams don't stay bad. Poor teams stay bad. That's where the sport is now.
That reminds me of
Texas was a bad team, and they got money, and now they're good again.
Do you know what is the most common meme GIF you're going to see when on Twitter, social media, when someone refers to another team, another program as being poor? What is the most common GIF that we see? The most common meme? It's the lady from the Dave Chappelle show. Wave, y'all look out here. We got poor people hanging around here. I laugh every single time I see that because it wasn't meant for anything the way it comes across, and it still Super, super funny. But that's a great point, Joe. Poor teams stay bad. These other teams that weren't very good for a really long time have started to be competitive in this new realm. You got to give Texas A&M props. They look great this year. It's been an overhaul from a lot of the transfer portal. And so you're right. Poor teams stay down there. Bad teams, they got a shot as long as somebody's cutting a check.
Sugar Daddy, you couldn't listen. Thank you again. Hey, you're always able to replay this on YouTube. You got it on podcast. Always make sure you check it out. Justin Wales, before we get into the SEC slate, Hez Kent, Brunswick, Georgia athlete, wants to play tight end, probably not a tight end. Is he watching his future team play in Gainesville on Saturday? True or false?
True. When he decides he wants to be a offensive tackle, Texas will take him like Journey with open arms. I know what an offensive tackle looks like when I see one, and I have seen him running the ball, and it is fun, and it is man-child like. But I promise you, as he can, he's watching his team, whether he sticks with Florida or Texas decides to take him.
All right, we'll go through the SEC slate real quick. Unfortunately, a lot of teams are on bye or teams are still dabbling in the out of conference, which whatever.
There's a big one on here, Joe.
There is a big one on here, and it's not this first one.
No.
Kentucky at Georgia. Georgia's a 20.5-point favorite. I think that's a little small, but it is a bounce-back game. And here's the other thing. Mark Stoops still knows defense. I don't know how much he's got guys. And it's not like Georgia has really known offense at a great level this year.
I thought Georgia's offense has been better this year.
I don't know.
Hey, they've gotten play out of their wide receiver room that they haven't had in the last couple of years.
That's true, but now they also have Gunnar Stockton. And
I think he's limited to an extent.
One of the things I listened to was talking about how they have basically not even tried in the middle of the field. And that's kind of crazy for Georgia because they had, all those tight ends for all those years. They still have good tight ends. They had
those guys.
They have been able to attack the middle of the field, and now they're just not doing it, and that's maybe because of what they have at quarterback. This may be an ugly game.
I blame Bobo.
It seems like it's pretty easy to do that.
I think they do in Athens as well, Ian.
Bobo is no good. No good. Every
Bobo
year
no go. Bobo no go.
No go on Bobo. Every year it seems like the right answer is staring him in the face, and Bobo does something else. Like last year, it was like until the Tennessee game before he was like, hey, you know what? I have 3 tight ends that would start at just about every other school in the country. I think this week I'm going to throw the ball at them. He did it against Tennessee, and I was like, oh, snap. They got it figured out. And then they didn't do it again. And then they played Alabama, who's yet to defend the zone read with the competence of a 5A Texas high school team in 2 years. And it's got Gunnar Stockton. The one thing Gunnar Stockton can do is run the ball on the zone read. And they don't do it a single time, almost. This guy.
Maybe he's holding stuff back too, like Clark is in your plan.
He's like married to his way, and he's completely inflexible and just useless. Should be fired.
You know who keeps signing him to contracts, though?
Hey.
Georgia.
Wait till they don't make the SEC championship for a year or 2 consecutive years. Then that noise in Athens gets a lot louder.
Oh, he'll be first up on the block.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Vanderbilt at Alabama.
This is the game, guys.
A ranked matchup. Vanderbilt, I saw a stat, I think Homer sent it in one of our big chats, that Vanderbilt may be the oldest team in the country. And when you have the combination of their talent and spots, especially at their rushing triangle with Pavia and Stowers and Alexander, plus just old dudes, it's a tough out no matter who you are. Anybody?
I think Vandy walks into this game with as much confidence as any stadium they've walked into in 10 years. Whether that pretends a win remains to be seen. But with that quarterback, after what they did last year, I read somewhere this week, it's one thing to beat Alabama. It's another to do it twice in your career. Like I think Manziel made the comment, that's how you get statues built. Now, granted, I do want to just real quick, I've noticed a trend where Johnny Manziel is mentoring more and more college quarterbacks, and it's a little troubling if that's the direction of quarterback play. As long as he doesn't talk to Arch, I'm good with whatever he says to anybody. But he did make a point to Pavia. He said, "Man, you beat those guys twice. That's how legends are born."
I think Vanderbilt is a little bit different than the Gus Malzahn thing, but it's going to be a similar look.
Alabama does not teach sound option defense under Kane Womack. So Oklahoma too last year really ripped him up on some of that stuff. That was a big part of their upset win over Alabama. It wasn't just like all the games Alabama lost all the games Alabama has lost with Kalen DeBoer and Kane Womack in particular have all looked like that, where the other team employs like different read option stuff and their guys get all out of sorts and misfit it and they just get gashed. It's possible DeBoer can just manage a win with play calling and just score a lot of points with Ty Simpson and all their awesome players on offense. But man, 10.5 points is a lot. I think Vanderbilt is definitely going to score a lot of points.
The one thing that's a little underrated about Vanderbilt now is that they're pretty fearless. And you don't really hear that much about Vanderbilt football, but they think they've got it. They think this is a game.
They're confident. They are confident, and that means something. I will say this: Ty Simpson's playing really good ball right now, guys. If he continues that, I don't know how confident. I don't know how much it matters how confident Vanderbilt is.
Real quick on this one, who's on the call? I think it's Lewis Riddick and Bob Wischusen. I know Riddick's on the call.
I like Riddick.
I think Riddick's on the call, and I think Wischusen's his partner. So that's who you're looking for there. We've talked about that one plenty. Ian, does Oklahoma cover 45.5?
That's a lot. I don't know. Maybe not. They're definitely looking ahead to Texas this week.
They're going to cover 45.5.
I don't know.
Kent State beat like a D2 team by 7. Like this, Kent State is one of the worst teams in college football.
They might, but I think Oklahoma's ability to score is going to be very inconsistent. Like they may score in fits and bursts in this game with a couple big plays.
They're going to run Ian. All right. Okay. How do we make this one interesting then? I think they're going to like, it doesn't matter if they're running the veer or like told Kent State, we are not going to have a forward pass this game. Like it's one of those imbalances.
Hey, Kent State hasn't been the same since Nick Saban left.
I think the defense is why Oklahoma could cover. That would be my hesitation with betting Kent State is Oklahoma's defense may not only keep Kent State's margin down, but even produce points for their own offense. But yeah, I think Oklahoma, because even if you play Hawkins in this game, I don't think you necessarily just let him run wild. Because you got to be thinking.
Don't you want to win?
Well, you're not going to lose to Kent State. That's not really a risk. So
isn't Hawkins the quarterback?
I think you avoid running Hawkins too much if you can. Because
you are both overrating Kent State. Like I'm telling you. Like Abilene Christian could beat them.
I'm trying not to overrate Mikey Hawkins.
Hawkins, the best thing he does is run, but I think you got to hold back on that because there's a chance that you need him against Texas, and he's got to run the ball 20 times against Texas to have a prayer. And you don't want him coming in.
You're more, say, Ian, you're looking more ahead than you are in the current climate. You think, hey, they don't necessarily need to run him when you've got a 45.5 point.
I promise you Oklahoma is looking ahead this week. They don't even see Kent State. They don't even know the name of the team they're playing this week.
And they don't have to. Last but not least, Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Game that got interesting just because of what Mississippi State has shown this year, challenging Tennessee. A&M looking like they're operating pretty well, got out of it against Auburn because Jackson Arnold, I'm not sure if he can read one read. But
he went Jackson Arnold.
This could be a lot of – I don't know what this one's going to look like. I was going to say it could be a lot of points, and I think it could be.
I think it should be. A&M's defense is not like it's been in the last few years. And they get a lot of pressure from those guys up front. I think they do really well in creating that pocket, caving in that pocket. But I don't know what to think about this game. It's October, so I think A&M by rule is supposed to win. Right. But that doesn't happen till late October, early November, usually, correct?
At the time is now, Justin.
The time is now? Okay.
Is now.
I didn't know what the algorithm said. If the time is now, cowbell coming.
I think Fluff Bothwell and, as someone mentioned, Booth. I can't remember if he's a safety or the running back for Mississippi State. But those are some guys. And the other thing is the fact that they have a functional quarterback. Like, they did not have that last year, although I think, what's his name, Van Buren's going to have a bright future at LSU. But they really did not have a functional quarterback for most of the year with him, with Parson, when they had to kind of makeshift offense without Shapen. Shapen's good. Shapen can hit what he needs to hit. And
isn't he like 24, 25?
Something like that. And I think, like Ian, I'm not sure how much we've seen Elko go against that style of offense. So could be a little bit interesting to track on that front.
That's a good point.
Yep, that's a good point.
14 in the hook, classic Vegas. I think Mississippi State could limit it to 2 touchdowns, but I don't see it being a win. Like, it'll be a 21-7 type. If they bring
the confidence they brought to Tennessee, that won't cover.
Yeah,
they'll keep the game closer. It's the if factor in that.
And
I think Mississippi State can win this game outright.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think A&M can score a ton of points as well. I think, like you said, it's going to be high scoring. Defense maybe a little optional.
Homecoming game of sort for Darian Gillette. Ryan Nelson says, Mississippi State plays sound defense. Do y'all know who Mississippi State's defensive coordinator, I believe, still is?
Is it
John Chavis?
Not John Chavis. It is Coleman Hutzler.
Listen. Coleman Hutzler's small window of time in Austin, that is one hell of a coach. I like that guy a lot.
I think a lot of people.
He connected with that class. Man, what was that class? 21 maybe?
It would have been the 21 class.
21 or 22. He connected with some of those guys. I remember Terrence Cooks, linebacker out of Houston. He wound up going to Ole Miss, but loved Hutzler. I think he had come from South Carolina, if I remember correctly, kind of an up-and-coming linebacker coach. Hutzler was kind of a hot guy there for a while.
He's a good recruiter. He inherited a god-awful mess at linebacker. And they had to play that guy a bunch
Luke
of times.
Brockemeyer.
No. The Court Jakes.
Yeah, they did.
They had to play Jakes a lot because Orlando left all these dudes that had no idea how to play linebacker. And
I can't go into a Home Depot without thinking about Court Jakes.
They had to figure out what to do because they inherited all these guys that had no idea how to play the position. And then they had like no spring practices and like no summer because of COVID. And he patched together pretty decent defense with Chris Ash, considering the circumstances.
That'll do it.
They're loving Ash in South Bend right now.
Yeah, they need to be patient.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I was about to say. Well, we're loving if you watch this video. We're loving if you join Inside Texas. Head to that first link in our description. Join for just $1. Join the best Texas Longhorns community. Get the best Texas Longhorns intel. We'll throw in a full year of access to the Athletic as well. So, Justin, thank you so much. Ian, thank you. Thank you for watching. See you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.